Welcome back to the Wealth Actually podcast. I'm Fraser Rice. We've had many requests for a video to accompany the Rule 187 Insurance podcast with Steven Zeiger. On December 12th, 2021, I interviewed Steven, who's an MD at KB Financial in Princeton, New Jersey. We learned that there is a new framework in New York that is changing the way life insurance is presented to clients. That's Regulation 187. This rule and the law that surrounds it is in contrast to the way life insurance has been traditionally presented. It imposes a client's best interest standard and recognizes the importance of an accurate demonstration of the costs of insurance to clients. Additionally, the CFP implemented a fiduciary standard that includes life insurance. This standard includes a justification of costs, performance, and risk, among other requirements. While the New York Reg applies to New York insurance advisors and CFPs nationally with their guidance, a deep dive shows that this likely applies to all fiduciaries. What are the risks for fiduciaries of using non-compliant decision support material when their clients pose life insurance questions? We're going to articulate that problem with Steven today.
Thanks, Fraser. So let's just take 2 minutes and walk through the current standard of care. And the current standard of care for individuals is typically they compare policies side by side. And FINRA Rule IM 2210 says it is inappropriate to compare a life insurance policy with another product based on hypothetical performance. And that other product, if it's life insurance, would be fundamentally inappropriate. Additionally, the New York Reg also speaks about these side-by-side comparisons being not the way to look at life insurance. So what we follow is the Uniform Prudent Investor Act, which says that costs should be investigated. The New York State regulation, which says that costs should be justified, and the FINRA Reg, which says that costs should be disclosed. And I just want to take a minute to talk about an interesting quote from Morningstar. If there's anything in the world that you can take to the bank, it's that expense ratios help you make a better decision. And every single time period and data point tested, low cost funds beat high cost funds. Fraser, do you think costs matter for life insurance?
Absolutely. And I think that one thing that we talk about that I've seen separately is that there's a case that just came out of the Supreme Court called Hughes versus Northwestern, which it's an ERISA case. But what it does do is it brings up the idea that cost efficiency is an important component of deciding whether one has fulfilled their fiduciary duty. For those of us in the trustee business and in the ILET trustee business in particular, I think understanding the actual costs that go into life insurance are going to become even more important going forward.
Great. So let's just take a minute to look at a life insurance illustration, and we'll see that it's actually impossible to tell what the costs are. So in this illustration from some unknown life insurance company, we can find out what the policy value is and what the surrender value is and what the death benefit is. But over here, where the insurance company shows this 4.95% rate of return, you don't know whether the insurance company thinks they can earn 10% on their money, charge you 500 basis points, and then you net 4.95%, or whether the insurance company can earn 5.95% and then run their business on 100 basis points. It's impossible to tell by looking at an illustration. So what we require, the insurance company, is the detailed expense pages. And in the detailed expense pages, we see what is the plan premium, what are the premium charges, what are the admin charges, what are the insurance charges, what is the amount credited, and is that in line with the costs, the performance, and the risk for the life insurance industry benchmarks, which I will show you in 1 second after I go down a page. So this is a benchmarking study with research provided from Veralytic, the nation's only provider of patented life insurance pricing and performance research. And we can very quickly see here that on this Mass Mutual policy, And again, nothing's wrong with Mass Mutual. They're a great company. But at this particular age and health class, when they're charging 16 cents per dollar of death benefit on a present value basis, their competitors only charge less than 14 cents per dollar of death benefit on a present value basis. And as you can see on the next slide, we're able to find an insurance company that charges half of the 16 cents per dollar of death benefit. And here we go, same age, same insured, 8 cents per dollar of death benefit on a present value basis. And we were able to increase the person's death benefit with that savings by $15.7 million. And that's really the power of independent research, the same type of research you use when you're looking at your investments with the help of Morningstar, Ibbotson, or Value Line, or Lipper.
And one of the things I would add on to that too, again, coming from that trustee angle, especially around ILITs, is the fact that by going through this analysis and actually going through the costs and the performance, you're performing your function as a trustee fully and completely. There is little left to chance when you've got that data in front of you. And it's something that I think that is currently sort of in its infancy in the traditional insurance world.
Exactly. We rarely find other advisors using this independent research model, but as soon as attorneys or accountants or RIAs or other fiduciaries see this, they immediately become addicted to the data, and their clients start to experience better outcomes.
So once we're armed with this data, what do we think about going forward in terms of analyzing the different data points and making a good decision around the insurance?
Well, the research, although we only showed one page of the research is able to look at the ratings from all the major rating agencies and compare them on one benchmark. Then the research is able to look at the premiums compared to the premiums for every other peer group product in the marketplace. And then the research is able to look at the internal costs compared to the peer group, all of the peer group policies in the marketplace, and compare them to the life insurance industry benchmarks. The research is also able to look at the past history of the insurer and see, has that insurer been raising costs, or has that insurer kept their costs in line with their original illustrations? The data goes back 20 years. And then you're able to compare the cash value performance of an in-force policy or a proposed policy to the life insurance benchmark of all cash values for all policies. And you're able to see where you fall on a continuum without bias, because the research isn't put together by the insurance advisor. And I think lastly, people say that they never really were comfortable that they were going to have the best outcome with the previous standard of care of side-by-side comparisons. So they were always worried that they were overpaying. They were always concerned that they weren't going to have the best outcome. And it was always in the back of the mind whether they were really getting the best deal. And now with this research, you can solve all of those issues.
So this really is like getting a diamond ring rating from a gemologist, or an opinion letter that an investment banker would get around the valuation of a company, or using Morningstar for a third-party idea on how a mutual fund is doing or something like that. Is that a good way to think about it?
Exactly. I remember when I purchased a diamond ring for my wife, and the person on 47th Street was saying, this is the color, this is the clarity, this is the carats. And I had no idea what they were talking about. But when they handed me the little brochure from the Gemological Institute of America, an independent third party, just like the findings in the Cochrane case, the independent third party said, here's the color, here's the cut, here's the clarity, here's if there are any pieces of coal or certain colors that shouldn't be in there. And now I was comfortable that I was on equal footing negotiating with the salesperson.
So for people who are either buying insurance or interested in this process, more specifically the trustees who are responsible for it, how do they learn more? How do they get access to this type of information?
Sure. So the information, I'll flip back to my my contact information, but the information is publicly available. You can subscribe to Veralytic. They charge $500 per report, or you can subscribe and receive like a bulk billing discount, or you can give me a holler, and I'm happy to help you see if this could be beneficial to your clients and your practice. We don't charge for the research since we have an unlimited subscription, and you don't even need to tell us who the client is in order for us to buy the research for the client. So it's really no risk and high return.
It sounds like a good combination to me. Steven, thank you very much.
Thank you, Fraser. It's always a pleasure to meet with you, and I enjoyed being on your first video.
That's great.